I think this is a critical series because this could really set the table for how the first half of this month goes. I mentioned on Monday's episode that the Rays have some rabid competition ahead.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every single day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays and email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Speaking of that, we do plan to have a mailbag question later on this week, so send us your voice memos, emails, whatever it may be, to that email address, or you can just simply DM us on the social medias there.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started.
All right, Ulises, we did reunite for today's episode. We broke up on Monday, but we're back together. It's like a toxic relationship, I guess. I could make a joke about a couple celebrities, but I won't do that at the moment. Relatively good vibes if you're a Rays fan. I mean, pretty much what we bargained for and expected, with the Rays taking 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals. Little bit of a different motif to this Rays team over the last couple of series, over the past couple weeks, if you will. And now they will be tested because they are going on the road to face the Royals in Kauffman Stadium for a 3-game set. Luckily, based on the interwebs, they will miss Cy Young candidate Seth Lugo. So the Rays have that going for them.
Yeah, dude, the mood has definitely shifted ever since the mid-May first encounter with the Kansas City Royals. Mm-hmm. You're right. Missing Seth Lugo is huge for a team that has not really gotten consistent offensive output. I know you touched on that on Monday's episode. You know, the bat's coming alive. And I think we are new month, good vibes.
Yes.
This is go time now. I don't think we can the people that always see the positive in things in the Rays fandom, good for you. Let's live in the real world now. July 1st. Go time. You can't give me it's early. It's not early.
No.
Is there plenty of baseball left? Sure. Can things change? Of course they can. It's not early anymore. So if this team is going to get to the playoffs, it needs to stop playing 500 mediocre baseball. It's go time now. It's showing up against teams that are having good seasons, like the Kansas City Royals, and saying, hey, we're going to win this series. They've been doing that lately. That's 4 series in a row that they've taken away the W, but it's go time now. And I feel like with everything in life, when it's something new, a new month can give you a little bit of a refresher, and hopefully a new page for this team to say, okay, whatever we have done is over with. We can start anew.
Mentioning Seth Lugo and the Rays thankfully missing him, man, he is still on a tear like he was the last time that the Rays had faced him. There were questions of if he may fall back down to earth. No, he's looking pretty solid at this juncture. An 11-2 record, 2.17 ERA, 105 strikeouts, and 116 innings pitched. His biggest competition for the Cy Young at the moment may actually, believe it or not, be a reliever in the Guardians' Emmanuel Clase, because he has a .69 ERA, and then you have Corbin Burns and some others in the conversation there. So I would much rather miss him and face the likes of Stinger, Waka, in Alec Marsh with the Rays putting forth Littell, Pepio, and Eflin. And I think this is a critical series because this could really set the table for how the first half of this month goes. I mentioned on Monday's episode that the Rays have some rabid competition ahead. Some big boppers out there that the Rays will be facing over the next several series and over the next several weeks. I don't have to mention all the names, but New York's in there, and there's some other tough teams in there. And, we had mentioned last week that, hey, can the Rays get to 15 wins for the month of June? And they didn't. They got to 14, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I did the math, and I said, if the Rays averaged 15 wins a month, that is still only 84, 85 wins, give or take. So they need to, maybe not necessarily in July or August, maybe not in July because of the schedule, but some month out of the next three, they need to go bonkers. I feel like they need to have a 20-21 win spot. They need to go back and say, man, we didn't really lose a single series, and we had a couple sweeps mixed in as well. I think that's what they're going to need to really cement themselves in the wild card and playoff competition going forward.
100%. You have to have a bleep you month.
Yes.
And I don't bleeping care who you are. We're bleeping winning. That month needs to happen. So if that's July, awesome, because then that can really propel you into having a conversation with the front office where they say, we might not specifically go after that guy that we all want as a fandom, insert whatever name is for this year, but it might dilute the conversation of, hey, let's trade Yandy. Hey, let's trade Randy. Let's trade Bilal. Let's trade insert ball player name. That could quiet that down if that happens in July, which I think would be huge, because obviously if this team is going to not get to the playoffs, we would like to know the earlier the better, so that the fandom can, first of all, prepare themselves, and second of all, that you could have enough time for the front office to get some really good deals to happen, aka Zach Eflin or Randy or Yandy, Pete Fairbanks, something that could, help you for 2025, because enough lottery tickets. I think the Rays front office has been in tune with, that's not a great way of doing businesses. Give me a guy in high A or low A. No, we need to be competitive. Give me a Johnny DeLuca who could help right now. Give me a Ryan Pepio that could help right now. So if the Rays are not able to do that in July, then the type of player that they're going to get back is most certainly have to be somebody that can help the team in 2025, because we've talked about it endlessly. I talked about it on Monday's episode in my segment. The 2025 rotation is sick, going to be amazing. So you already have a very good starting block, and you actually have depth. I know people are coming from injury, so you're going to have some innings limit, but the arms are there. So if you can just help them out a little bit, complement them with AKA a catcher that can hold his own behind the dish defensively and offensively, that would be huge. And that can that can happen. You can get one of those. Is it difficult? Yes, but you can get them if you're willing to, give away some really good talent.
Question. By the time the month ends, or right before the trade deadline, if the Rays are not 500 but above 500, even a game above 500, I'm trying to figure out the mathematics and the statistics, the trigonometry, any mathematical term that you want to throw out there, that the Rays say, we're going to A, hold on to our pieces, and B, go out and acquire some bit piece that can assist us because we feel like our dudes are ready for a playoff push and we want to get in the dance for the 6th consecutive time.
I actually don't think it has to do with their record. I'm going to
Okay,
switch it, and I'm going to say it has to deal with how many games back you are of the wild card.
that's fair.
So if they are under 500, but somehow they're 3 away from a wild card spot, I think that speaks higher than being 5 games of a 500 and being 5 games away from a
Right.
wild card spot. So I feel like if you are with less than 5 games back, I think you hold. I think you stay pat. I don't think you get anybody,
Hmm.
but I don't think you necessarily are going to sell something very high. You might sell pieces. Like I could see the Rays being 4 games out and dealing Ahmed Rosario. I can see
Right.
that. I
That's
can
fair.
see that. Or a Jason Adam. I can
Yeah.
see that too. But I also don't see if the Rays are 2 games away from a wild card spot. I don't see them getting a power bat. I don't see
Right.
that.
Well, this is a good opportunity because you guessed it, the Royals are the number 3 wild card team, while the Rays are the number 6 wild card team. So they would, or number 6 in the hunt of the wild card standings, if you will. So they would have to leapfrog the Astros and the Red Sox and try to sneak into that third point at the moment. Coming up next, I'm a little jealous of the Royals where they're at right now, not just their record, not just their pace in the wild card race. There's a couple other things that I want to mention as well. But first, we have to tell the listeners something very important.
Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Price Picks community today. Price Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And with the finals already over, the hoops action does not stop on Price Picks. The WNBA is still heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all that Twitter feud. Well, you can follow along and have some fun using Price Picks. In fact, Price Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country. So today, get in on the fun and download the Price Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's Benjamin Franklin, baby. That's code locked on MLB, LOCKEDON MLB on Price Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year round. And you know what else is year round? Collection season. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. $1 billion, people. That's basically a stadium for the Rays to play in 2028. So whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season, and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And be sure to mention Locked On Rays at checkout, and you'll receive $250 in discounts off their services. Again, that's Tax Network USA.
All right. I want to remind you all this. You've got to check out Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories out there. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So I mentioned I'm jealous of the Royals, and Ulises, you might know a little bit where I'm going here because I look at the Royals roster, and it's been a theme for years and years that they've had a stalwart catcher. That's one. I'm jealous of the fact that they have and continue to have Salvador Perez, who between his catching duties is mixing first base and designated hitter. That's usually what happens when you have catchers that reach their 30s and mid 30s and so on and so forth. But they also have a franchise-altering shortstop that's extended to a very, very long-term contract that's not in legal trouble at the moment, and that is Bobby Witt. So those are two things I'm envious of. I'm also envious that they have a Cy Young candidate pitcher in Seth Lugo, where the Rays don't really have that true ace available yet. Maybe when Shane McClanahan is back and healthy and ready to go, he can become that once again, somebody else as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. However, what I'm not jealous, what I'm not envious of them is, and it goes back to the age-old question, would you rather have that one ring in years and years and years of ineptitude, or have that hope year in and year out? And that's what we have for the Rays. Of course, they don't have that ring, but they've had chances to get that ring. They've given us hope to maybe get that ring. You get in the dance, maybe something good happens. They go on a roll and they finally win that championship. Conversely, the Royals, since they won that title in 2015 and went 95 and 67 that year, they have not had a winning season since then. And they have not made the playoffs since then. So you're talking nearly a decade turnaround, decade reshuffling and rebuild, getting out of the abyss to be competitive again. So it just got me thinking of, like, is a ring worth it for a following decade of suckage?
Great question, and I think this is one of the never-ending questions we put on this pod ever so often, because it's so good to talk about. That's 8 years of suckage, to be specific, on the Kansas City Royals.
Okay, yeah. So 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, well, 23, 24, they're doing well, assuming it all doesn't implode, which I don't think it will based on the structure of their team. I mean, they've got a good enough offense. They've got one of the better pitching staffs in baseball, and they don't play in the AL East. They have the Central Division. Yeah, we know the Guardians are tough. We know the Twins are tough, but they can beat up, definitely, absolutely, unlike the Rays, beat up on the White Sox. And then the Tigers aren't in any great shakes either. So those are two teams in your division that you should be able to throw your will at, series in and series out.
Yeah. I think, first, I think the right people to ask this question would be Marlins fans,
Yes,
Chicago White Sox fans, Kansas City Royals fans. Like, I think that fandom can give you a blow by blow on why it's great or why it's not. But from this side of being in the dance but not really dancing with the one that you'd like,
right.
It makes year in and year out fun. There's always a chance, so that's motivating. But ultimately, really, like, what do you go in for this? Everybody, the front office, the owners, the fandom, we all want to win. We all want to win.
Correct.
The thing. We all want the parade. So yeah, does it suck to not be competitive for 8 years? And yeah, but you can still, I bet that if you're a Kansas City Royals fan and you have been for your entire life, that 2015 feeling, that emotion, that human warmth that can only be provided by being a fan of a sports team, you hold on to that. And
Right.
It's not only for you, it's for you and your pops. It's for you and your uncle and your grandpa and your kids. Like, it's more than, it really pulls family, friends, a city together. It's this beautiful thing that, I know sports, sometimes we get caught up in it and make it bigger than it is. But in this side of it, in this emotional feeling, you can never really get something that is so not important give you so many
Right.
big feelings. So I'm torn with this question. Is it fun to go in every year thinking, hey, this is the year that it could happen? Of course it's fun, but ultimately I think it's the ring. It's the trophy that matters. I that's why they play. They build these players don't get into, I mean, just take the money aside, of course, because that's number one, but because it's a job for them, but they all want to win. They'll want to win. That's it, man.
That is true. And it's a lot more memorable having that moniker next to your franchise and next to your season that you played. Outside of Rays fans, not everybody remembers that, oh, yeah, this team won 100 games and then got eliminated in the ALDS. So
right
at the end of the day, whatever you do in the regular season is for naught. It's, do you take home the ultimate deal there? So might have to ask my buddy Brendan to see how he thinks about that. If and like, what's the point of suckage? Is it, would you be willing to withstand 12 years, 15 years, 20 years for that ring? Because I feel like there's got to be a number. There's got to be a metric where you say, okay, that's enough. I'd rather they just had made the playoffs and continued to make the playoffs year in and year out after that. And in the Royals' defense, like, they were a very average 500 ball club the following 2 years, but then they really went downhill. And you're talking about losing 100+ games and, only winning 58, 59, 56, whatever it may be. So I just wanted to throw that out there and mention. It's funny, I actually do plan a little inside baseball here for my wife's birthday. We are flying out to Kansas City, believe it or not, of all places, later in August. So I will be able to cross Kauffman Stadium off my list before. I'm not really privy to all the conversations and rumblings and developments with their new ballpark and what's planning to happen in downtown Kansas City in the next 3, 4, 5 years. But, and you haven't been to Kauffman Stadium, have you?
No, but I want to. I've always loved that stadium from growing up. Yeah.
All right, let me be real with you. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, and start making the most of your summer. So good, I'll repeat it again. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like, look, it doesn't have quite the aura of Wrigley Field or Fenway Park, and not as fancy or beautified as Camden Yards. But I would imagine that if you polled the average baseball fan, sports fan, hey, is Kauffman Stadium one of the top 13, top 15 ballparks in baseball? I think they would probably say, yeah, that's a place that has some prestige attached to it since it was built in 1973, between the sight lines and the video board and, of course, the fountains as well. So I'm looking forward to all that, is what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. All right, good stuff there. Really hoping for a series win. That would be nice.
Yeah. And if, just to close out, we wanted to do a little fun little game. Maybe we could do this for August and September as well. Hopefully October too. But we're starting it now. Is on the first day of the month. Just have a little fun and think of who could be that month's MVP. You guys obviously can leave your picks down in the YouTube comments below. My pick, Kevin, for July MVP will be Randy Arozarena. He had a 291 average in June and 892 OPS. The thing I like the most, though, is that he basically had the same amount of plate appearances in April, May, and June, around 100. And the strikeouts went from 32 to 30, and then in June to 17. He basically halved it. Things are happening for Randy. I am putting my green Skittles on Randy. He will be this month's MVP.
I like it. It does appear that he's walking more, not chasing as much. And you look at his spray chart, I think he's starting to move on from this idea of being a oppo field power hitter, because he is looking more Isaac Perez than ever before, with everything going basically to the left side of second base. A lot of doubles, a lot of home runs, a lot of extra base hits, some singles as well. So that is a really good choice. That is not my choice, however. And I think the success of Randy, Yandy, Siri, maybe others may allow this guy to quietly sneak in and be perhaps a tad forgotten about in the lineup, and that is Brandon Lowe. I think Brandon Lowe, with his legs underneath him, I think finally looking healthy, that he is going to blast off in July. What do we know about Brandon Lowe? We know a couple things. One, he doesn't do crap in the postseason. That's a fact. Two, he crushes it in July. I looked at his last 3 seasons for the month of July, and they are astounding. July 2023, 959 OPS. July 2022, 945 OPS. July 2021, 1.032 OPS. So I think the elevation of some other guys that I mentioned may allow Brandon Lowe to be overlooked a tad by some opposing pitchers in some opposing teams. So, and, just based on what we've seen the last little bit, with 2 strikes, he is really driving the ball and hitting mistakes. Hanging sweeper, I got it. Hanging curveball, I got it. Fastball up in the zone, I got it. And there's certain times, too, that I like where he doesn't try to force the matter. And, okay, I've got no 2 count. I've got a 1-2 count. I'm just going to shorten my swing a tad, hit a single up the middle, hit a single the other way. So I really like what I'm seeing from Brandon Lowe. I hope it continues, and I expect a really, really big month. I didn't even mention Isaac Perez in the near hit for the cycle that he almost had. He had the hardest 3 of them all, between the double, the triple, and the home run. But I think rising tides lifts all boats, and that's going to allow more opportunities for Brandon Lowe. We might see a grand slam or 2 in the month of July.
I like that pick. And you know what? Things are getting better for him. OPS wise, 410 to 679, and now June 848. So everything seems to be trending up. I like your pick. I like my pick. And hopefully we're both so right that it's a tie. And that means the Rays went above and beyond in July with more than the 15 wins that we want to project.
Hit it in the comments. Who do you think? Is it going to be a position player, hitter? Maybe Kevin Cash is the star of the month, for all we know. Few Kevin Crash mistakes, more Kevin De Niro wins, if you will. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.